Disturbing. 8 of the U.S.'s top 10 most polluted cities are in California, and San Diego is ranked 6th. Joining us to talk about it is Dr. Sabrina Fabi. Dr. Fabi, this is not a good study. We like to be on a lot of lists. This is not one we want to end up on.
This is not a good one because there's a great deal that pollution does, specifically particulate matter. It has an effect not only in your asthma sufferers or people with bronchitis, but it also, in my field, it affects skin aging. So there was a great study that was done that actually found that people on average had 20% more brown spots and wrinkles than those that weren't exposed to this level of pollution or particulate matter. And then there's also another study that shows in the Taiwanese population, when they compared rural living citizens versus those living in the urban areas, there was an increase of 20% in osteoporosis. So you're more likely to have a broken hip from this, right? Or you're also more likely to show facial signs of aging because it's the bone that holds all that skin and fat up.
So when you're breathing this kind of air pollution and you don't necessarily know it, you don't necessarily feel it at the time or see it even, I mean, you probably can see it from a distance, but what can you do to prevent it short of wearing a mask or something to that effect?
Right, well, at least in these particular cities, sleeping with your windows closed, right? So that you're not breathing this all in when you're sleeping.
Okay.
Obviously, it would be ideal that most of our regulatory bodies would actually particularly change the regulations. California would be far worse if it didn't have or enforce its really tight regulations on tailpipe pollution, but it still has 8 cities on the list out of the top 10, right? And so we have to perhaps even checking your pollution levels before you leave the house, maybe not driving with your windows open when you are out in traffic because you're breathing all of that in, especially if you're pregnant or have a history of some type of airway disease, whether it's asthma or bronchitis. This puts you at risk.
Wow. All right, let's look at the list here. So LA topped the list for the 19th year in a row. I don't think a ton of people are all that surprised. But again, San Diego is number 6, and Andrew brings up a good point. You know, you walk outside, you think like Beijing, like in China, where you see the videos and you're like, oh, I don't want to live there. Like, that pollution is awful. San Diego really, to me, doesn't seem like we have a bad pollution problem.
So there's ozone pollution and there's particulate matter pollution, and this is important because heat on warm, sunny days, because of all the climate change that we've been experiencing, well, that increases smog. And when you increase smog in combination with the chemicals that come from tailpipes and from other factories, you end up basically increasing ozone, and that ozone has a pollution effect, and that's where that list comes from. So that's pollution from ozone. Now there's also the pollution from particulate matter, actual matter that sits on your skin that can actually age you also and increase your risk of osteoporosis.
That's like the videos we see from China.
Exactly.
Particulate matter.
Exactly.
Both are bad for us.
Yeah, it's so ironic. I mean, this is the place where you want to be outside
right,
as much as possible, and it almost feels bad to say close your windows, close your doors, and
wear a
don't
mask.
breathe it in.
I know.
Such a bummer.
I think it's important for people to know, and I think it's important for people to recognize that they can do things. So I always encourage my patients to put like a good moisturizer on with something with dimethicone or glycerin and a lot of antioxidants so that you can at least protect yourself from whatever's sitting on your skin, and make sure to wash your face at the end of the night.
You hear that, Andrew?
So that
Wash
you can
your
get
face
all of that particulate matter.
And put blueberries on your face. Those are high in antioxidants. Dr. Fabi, always great to have you. Thank you.
Nice having you.